Hi, my name is Joy. I've been putting up content on TikTok for a few weeks that nobody's been watching because it's just me yapping for 10 minutes. Nobody's gonna watch that on TikTok. However, I stand by everything I said, and I just finally came to the realization it should have been on YouTube. Because this is where people watch videos that are 10 minutes, not TikTok. But the reason that I was putting them on TikTok is because to me, TikTok felt like no standards. And YouTube really just felt like I wanted to have higher standards for what I put on YouTube versus TikTok. That was originally how I even got myself to post on TikTok in the first place, to be frank, because I never wanted to be a TikToker. But because I didn't want to be a TikToker, I was willing to take more risks, the risks being literally uploading anything at all. And I just rewatched quite a bit of, I say quite a bit, I just rewatched quite a bit of like the really long videos I put on TikTok, and I think they like hold up. So I've decided I'm probably going to upload them to YouTube. So this is the first one. And when I say the first one, they are not going up chronologically in the order I filmed them. They're going up in like order of importance for me personally. So this one is the most important to me. I'm the most clear about my mental health, my state of mental health in this. However, because I'm being so clear about my state of mental health, it needs a really strong, really heavy content warning. I have experienced childhood emotional neglect, and I have experiences with self-harm. I have experiences with suicidal ideation, and I'm going to be doing my best to describe the overwhelming feelings I experience to cause those behaviors. A little bit about me. I am I'm just going to list all of the things about me that most people wouldn't assume when they see me. Oh my god. I am autistic. I have ADHD. I suspect I may have PTSD, but my next meeting with my psychiatrist is in a few weeks. I do have generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder. I don't even usually list those because I feel like so many people do have anxiety disorders in this day and age, and I think it's worth reflecting on where our future is headed. But anyways, I'm primarily listing those so that people who do have triggers, do have things that activate their nervous system, are able to see, how closely am I going to relate to this, make that judgment for themselves. And to those people, I am very, very serious about this. I would like you to remove yourself if listening to this is going to put you in any risk of harm, okay? Like, period. I'm not just talking, one second. I do not think it's worth it to cause pain to yourself unless you are extremely confident that the amount of pain it could cause is just completely tolerable for you. Like, you know how to handle that level of pain. It's not going to have an effect on the rest of your day. I do not want you to ruin your day just for me right now, not even for solidarity. I don't know. I think I've made my point. I think anybody who could be put in danger by this discussion has had the chance to remove themselves. I just want to be really clear that I'm going to be doing my best to communicate how those things make me feel. And I just want to be so careful about this because there is so much research to show that in general, more exposure to the idea of unaliving oneself is in itself tends to cause more people to try to do that. And it's a difficult thing to balance, because there's these shows, specifically, to be honest, I'm never going to watch 13 Reasons Why, and I think that it was not created responsibly, and I think that the people who created it had their noses so deep in what was a truly noble intention, that they were not willing to look at the outcome without the lens of their intention. I think that show, overall, I'm sure it did good. It had good intentions. I think overall that show was harmful. I'm talking so much about it because I have come to the realization that we do need to be that explicit, however, in our communication. We do need to be that explicit in our communication because it's the only way people who don't experience it have a chance to understand what their empathy should even look like. It is so far outside of their experiences that it's hard for them to grasp. So that's why I'm putting such a long-winded content warning on this, because I do not want to be a part of that cycle where it validates the feelings in a way that make people feel validated in the concept of performing something that will unalive them. And that feeling deserves validation, but that doesn't make it a valid idea, you know? There's also going to be a shitty poem at the end of it. The beginning of my poem, one of the really common images or concepts that appears in my mind is like to peel my skin. So the beginning of the poem sounds weird because I'm like listing vegetables, but because it's not going to be in the video, I just want to make it clear that that's what that's about. Because I'll talk about it in the video. I wrote the poem while I was experiencing the feelings, because I really cannot write about it when I'm not experiencing it, because I'll start self-censoring, which actually I will be self-censoring even while I'm feeling it. And once I'm out of it, I'm going to self-censor so much that I make it sound like something you shouldn't be worried about. So anyways, that's why I'm not going to edit the poem, because I don't want to. It's a choice, okay? It's a choice. And I know the beginning of the poem is going to be confusing, but hope this helps. And that's just assuming you get to the end of the video where the poem is. It's 10 more minutes of your life. Anyways, without further ado, here's the thing that I originally uploaded to TikTok. It's gonna be vertical.
Hi, my name is Joy, and I want to talk about self-harm and suicidal ideation. So if that's not what you want to be talking about, then don't listen to me, please. I'm going to be like really trying to describe and communicate my experience with these things. And I'm just also like fresh off a little 2-hour spiral. So, this is definitely going to be fun. So a little bit of background about me. I grew up with like a crap ton of older siblings, many of whom had like life-threatening medical conditions with really frequent flare-ups, a lot of hospital visits, and at the same time, a pretty dysfunctional marriage between my biological parents. And I was the youngest in this scenario. So there's never been a time when I have felt like my needs had any right to be a priority. Like, there's nowhere in my working memory that I felt like I should be a priority, which sounds so depressing. But for me, that simply happens to be the situation I was in. So anyway, at the same time as all of this, I am autistic, I have ADHD, and anxiety runs in the family. So I was, like, my number one priority was, like, masking from day one. Oh, I forgot to mention also agender. Like, I was in kindergarten filling out those about me sheets, and I said, what's my favorite color? Pink, of course, because that's what color it has to be. And it also extends to a point where even when I was alone, I still felt like I needed to make sure, like, somebody could open that door at any time. And I don't want them to open that door and be worried about me when they see me. Because there's so many people, and I never had my own room. At least not for, not until I was maybe a teenager. And many of my older siblings never had their own room when they lived with my parents. So all that is to say, I have a lot of really complex triggers that activate my nervous system into, like, fight or flight, because my brain just, like, learned from such an early age to a point where to me, it feels so inevitable. Like, I have never enjoyed feeling this way, and ever since, like, I became aware that that's how I was feeling, I would be like, but I know that's not, like, that's just dumb. And it is so hard for me to accept that, like, I'm just gonna experience that feeling. And I think that's part of why I'm so drawn to social media, actually, is because I already am always putting on a performance. Like, when I am by myself, I feel like I'm doing something wrong unless I put on a performance. And it has to go one way or the other, because I can't just walk naturally, or else I'll start thinking, is my natural walk weird? So I have to, like, consciously choose, even, like, down to how I'm walking. Most of the time. Not all of the time. It is less than it used to be. But it still feels inevitable. And I do think it's inevitable that it will just be triggered sometimes. Or activated. So when I was growing up, I, again, had those, like, thoughts and feelings. I could not experience the feeling of, like, feeling important. Just simply couldn't experience it. And because of that, every single one of my feelings, both, like, fun and not fun feelings, like, had a pushback. Because, like, okay, well, those feelings might make you do something weird. Those feelings might be too difficult for somebody else to deal with, like, you know? And at the same time, knowing it's not as deep as I'm making it, I guess. Like, everybody understands, and people mostly, like, don't. I am suppressing my feelings for the sake of these other people, but, like, if they knew I was doing that, like, I've always known, if people knew I was doing that, they'd be like, why are you doing that, you dramatic bitch? Except I probably wouldn't say it so mean. But the point is, I feel like my natural way of being is bad because it becomes inconvenient to others, and other people have to ask questions and take time out of their day to learn about me just because they saw me walking by. And I also feel like the way I'm covering that up is also bad. So the way that kind of expressed itself was through really strange and creative self-harm. Oh, I'm just such a creative person. I do, for context, have older siblings who self-harmed. And I saw that. And I also saw how much care they needed, like how much extra support they needed. And I thought, well, I don't need that support, so I'll make sure I'll self-harm in a way that people won't see it, so that other people won't be worried about it. And this started with smaller things, probably in middle school. Like, I would start digging my fingernails into my skin, but being careful not to, like, make it bleed, or else that would leave too much of a mark for too long and people would ask questions. Or to choose places on my skin that, like, I know people aren't gonna see. I would make sure no one was gonna walk through the garage and hit myself in the head with a hammer. That would be probably more into high school. Also in high school, like, sharp plants, I would intentionally, like, making it look like an accident, walk too close to sharp plants. I remember a time actually in elementary school that I, like, fell when I was running, and I saw some sharp rocks, and I considered, like, cutting my knee where I fell, because people already knew that I fell, so it would be, like, okay if there was a little extra damage there. So as I mentioned, I'm coming off of, like, a 2-hour spiral, and it was particularly bad, which is always so embarrassing for me, because it's, like, activated by the silliest of things. 2 of my friends said they couldn't come to my game night tonight. That is what triggered this, which is so embarrassing because I'm so easily activated, and it makes other people feel so guilty around me. Anyways, so while I was in the thick of it, because because this is who I am as a person, and because improving my communication skills is such a priority to me, kind of what I was doing to ground myself was trying to write a poem to describe my experience when I'm kind of in that state. So it's a first draft. I don't know that it holds up very well as a poem, but I do think it does what I intended, which I do think that it can help you understand my mindset when I'm in that place. When I see my skin, it's a ripe plantain, or a carrot or orange, a potato. I lay eyes on a pushpin, and my hands are of cork. I see staples, they're paper, a nail, and they're wood. Tension creeps up my neck, and I can't help but wonder if the cradle of the French Revolution offers the relief I crave. When I see a car, my body feels like pavement. On the freeway, the walls look like exits. When I step on an elevator, I secretly pray those 6 walls might become my grave. Have an uplifting rest of your day. Anyways, I know that was a lot, but
it feels really disingenuous to me to come back in with a like self-plug type of deal, but I do want a chance to be heard, and I know that in our neoliberal capitalist hellscape, my chance to be heard is openly asking for engagement on my content. So please, like and subscribe and comment. If you made it through the whole video, and if you are currently listening to me, I'm assuming you understand why I need to ask for this. So I don't even need to explain. Thank you for listening. Bye.